Okay. So there are three possible type of hazards. One is structural hazard, second one is data hazards, and third one is control hazard. Structural hazard means due to the structure of the system, you are getting problem in normal execution of the instruction through pipeline. That is structural hazards. Wait. हेलो हाँ क्या है मेरी क्लास चल रही है रखो Okay. Due to structure of the hazard, suppose we have to perform fetching of operand and fetching of instruction simultaneously. And operand and instruction are available in the memory. We are using single port memory or unified memory that contains the data as well as instruction. In that case, it will lead to a hazard, structural hazard. Similarly, suppose for particular instance you need to perform certain operation, like operation is performed by the functional units. So if you have limitation of functional unit, then again there it will lead to hazard. Next hazard is data hazard. Data hazard is same. You have gone through about the data dependence, and you know due to the data dependence, you can't do the parallel execution. Although here we are doing the single instructional stream and single data stream, but there is parallelism in the execution of the instruction. Okay, so the dependency of the data or information produced by certain instruction to another instruction may also lead to a hazard. This type of hazard is called data hazard. You may see, you have already seen that we have three type of dependencies, data dependencies, like flow dependency, then we have NT dependency, and we have output dependency. If any of these three dependency hold, that will always lead to the data hazards. And control hazards, same as in the case of dependence analysis, you have seen due to the control structure of the program, it may be due to the decision control, it may be due to the loop control. So loop control is structure of the program, loop structure. So see how we handle these hazards. A structural hazard, I have just told you, due to the structure. What we do if we have, just consider the case, if we have the need of a particular unit simultaneously by two processing element in the pipeline, in that case, what we have to do, we have to install one of the processing unit. Okay, you just see, install means हम रोक देंगे. Here Just see it is doing memory operation and we have to fetch the instruction from the memory. Just here and here. So we have just installed the instruction fetch for that very cycle, pipe cycle, and in next cycle we have started the instruction fetch. Okay, because for this instruction, suppose this is instruction number 0. Here it is writing the using the memory, and again here we have to use the memory. In these 3 cycles, we are not using the memory, so you can fetch in next cycle another instruction number 1, and in next cycle you can fetch another instruction. But here this is performing memory operation and this is performing memory operation, that will lead to the conflict, and it should be, we will discuss with an example. We just see this. See, we have to perform these 2 operations through pipeline. Means one is x equal to y plus z, another is a equal to b into c. So see the code for this. First we have to write the code to load y in register R1, then z from memory to R2, then you can perform the addition in R3, then again you can route the result to the memory. Similarly, for a equal to b into c, you can perform like this. Now suppose the pipeline, you just consider pipeline. Only 4-stage pipeline. So this is instruction fetch, instruction decode, execute, and write back. Just see here, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. I1, this is I1. It will fetch I1. In next, I2 will be here. I1 will be here. In next, I3, I2, I1. See what happens here. In this is cycle number 1, 2, 3, and 4. It will write. It will. The stage 1 will try to fetch instruction 4 simultaneously. Stage 4 will need to write back the result of instruction 1 in the memory. So here you will get a hazard. Here you can permit I1, but here you may stall. Okay. and accordingly you can fetch I4 like this. So similarly, suppose this execution unit can do only addition, functional unit to do the addition. But if you have to do multiplication, then what you can do? You can't do this multiplication through this pipeline. So what we can do, you can just introduce a functional unit for addition, a functional unit for multiplication. This is for addition, this is for multiplication. Suppose you have to perform floating point operation also. So here you can use another functional unit. So in that case, this pipeline will become 6-stage pipeline. Okay, you have 3 execution units, E1, E2, E3. So if a particular instruction is add instruction, then it will use this functional unit, and here it will be considered as no op. If it is multiplication instruction, then here it will consider no op, for no operation. Here it will do the multiplication, and here again no operation. So in this way, you just see here we have 7-stage pipeline. ये दिख रहा है ना? Hello, any of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. दिख रहा है सर.
ये पाइपलाइन दिखने लगी ना?
Yes, sir. दिख रहा है सर. पाइपलाइन दिख रहा है.
हाँ, तेरा रिस्पांस देते रहो, पता चलेगा कि हम हवा में बोलते रहे.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Now we will respond.
एक आदमी कोई रिस्पॉन्ड करता रहे, सुनता भी रहे आराम से. ओके, सो दिस इज 7-stage pipeline. Fetch, decode, issue for execution. These are the 3 execution unit, and write back. Okay. Now see here in this here in this pipeline R1, this instruction R3 has been decoded, and it knows that is the addition of R1 and R2 has to be performed. After decoding, you will know that is this operation has to be performed. But what about operand in R1 and R2? The operand will be written at this position and this position. Okay. So what do you have to do? You have to wait, and after operand become available, it will issue for execution. Okay. Let's see. And then write the result. Okay. This instruction, and next instruction here, because it is stalled, you have to route the result of R3 to memory. Now when you will get the result of R3, means this instruction write the result, then only means execution, it has considered that this execution unit is for addition. Okay, this execution unit. So it after execution, it will issue the instruction, this instruction for execution. Okay, it will execute and write the result. Same problem it will arise in this case. So what is the remedy of this? We can reorder the instruction. If you see, for this we need 23 clock cycle to execute this program. Means to do this evaluation of these two expression, we need 23 pipe clock. Now see what we are doing. We are reordering the instruction. Reordering means just see first R1, R2, R4, R5. Means you just see, go back. First insert, this is I1, I2, this will become I3, I4. Means here we are installing in this time, we may load other operands, these operands we are using this time. You just see by reordering. Now it will write write back the operand. Here operands are available. Now you can go for the execution of this y plus z. This is y plus z. Okay, because write back, and here you just see write back. Then in this it will issue for this instruction add. Okay, and so you just see by reordering we can perform same evaluation of same expressions in 17 pipe cycle. Okay, so reordering will improve the efficiency of pipeline. And how we reorder the pipeline? We reorder the pipeline on the basis of the dependency structure of the program. Okay, again you will see here we have 1, 2, 3 execution unit, but for instruction you have seen only one operation has to be performed. Okay, so in spite of using three execution unit in sequence, we may use like this: instruction fetch, instruction decode, and these three functional units may be used in parallel. And here you may use a issue state. This issue state will issue the instruction to particular function unit, and फिर again we can write back. This is instruction fetch, instruction decode, issue, and write back. अभी क्लास रन देंगे. So in spite of using 3 cycle pipe cycle, we can perform the execution in single cycle, and this type of arrangement is also given in Intel processor. You will see, and multiple functional units are in parallel, and for issuing we have the reservation station. Okay, come back. So next thing, it is, if you have problem of structure, you can modify structure in this manner, and you can improve the efficiency of performance of the pipeline or efficiency of the pipeline. Next is, just see, you have to fetch the instruction from the, if you reconsider the execution scenario of a program, how execution is going to be taken, performed. To execute any program, processor has to execute instruction in a sequence given in the program. Program instruction in sequence. To execute instruction, it will generate the address of instruction where it resides in the memory. Then it will fetch the instruction. Instruction is get decoded. And you also know that fetching of instruction will take much time because memory is much slower than the processor. So what we do, we use cache memory. You just see. To improve the performance, we use cache memory between processor and main memory. Suppose this is processor, this is main memory, and here we use cache memory. And processor will always generate address of main memory, but we try to supply the information from cache, and this cache is almost it. If you see, we use here simple capacitor to store the information in the main memory, but here we use semiconductor. You may say actually it is each cell that contains the information is bistable multi-vibrator. Means your flip-flop to store the information. Flip-flop like circuit. Okay. So it is totally semiconductor circuit. So access speed is almost at speed of the processor, almost, because it will take some time to map the address generated by processor on the cache. If it is available in cache, it will supply. If it is not available in the cache, it will refer to the main memory, and then it will take same time. Suppose if a particular instruction is get processed in 1 nanosecond, to refer that instruction from the main memory, you need about 80 to 100 nanoseconds. And same information you can refer from cache memory. Average time needed for cache memory about 10 to 15 nanosecond. We will discuss during discussion of the memory in the next unit. Okay. So again, processor has to wait. Suppose it takes 15 nanoseconds. It takes 1 nanosecond. Then again processor has to wait. Suppose it takes only 5 nanosecond. Then processor has to wait for 4 nanosecond. So what we do, we use buffer, dedicated buffer within the processor that will reduce the fetch time, instruction fetch time or operand fetch time in the from the memory. One buffer is called prefetch buffer. Prefetch buffer. Second is branch target buffer. Third one is loop buffer. Prefetch buffer, branch target buffer, and loop buffer. In prefetch buffer, we prefetch the instruction
एडमिट कार्ड है, इसने अपलोड किया तो बता रहे हैं कि पेंडिंग बता रहा है, इसको देखो कह रही स्क्रीन डेटा का फाइन नहीं है, बहुत थोड़ी अच्छी बात।
मिल रहा है ना? ये किसका है? अब बाद में दिखाना है।
सब लोग बाहर खड़े हैं,
क्या करें?
हाँ, तो क्या करना है?
क्लास चल रही है। इसका कौन किया है? रोहित आएगा, रोहित से पूछ लो।
अच्छा, ठीक है।
रोहित आएगा, वो बताएगा। Okay. Yes. So in branch target buffer, we keep the target instruction of branch instruction. Okay. How we fill it, we will discuss. And in loop buffer, we contains the loop instruction, because if you see in any program you write, most of the time your processor is busy in executing the instruction from loops. Suppose you have 30 instructions in your program. Okay, this is your program. 10 instruction, 10 instruction, and 10 instruction. And suppose this loop has to be executed 10 times. Okay, so in that case, what will happen? You are executing 120 instruction. Okay, but these 10 instruction are referred 100 times. So if it is available within the processor itself and fetch time is almost equal to the processing time of the processor, in that case your performance will be certainly improved. So we use loop buffer. This loop buffer, we use 3 type of buffer to cater this problem. Now, how we fill? Actually, if you see, the bandwidth between this buffer and this is very high. At a time, suppose the capacity is, this can hold, it is also called sequential buffer or pre-phase buffer. If this sequential buffer can hold, suppose 100 instruction, then we divide it into 2 or 3 parts, okay? And in one memory cycle, you just consider, in one memory cycle, we can fetch 30 to 50 instructions simultaneously and fill the buffer. So you need one memory cycle to fetch 30 to 50, and after then your fetch unit needs instruction in each pipe clock. Okay, so that instruction will be available here. Again, we can pre-fetch remaining instruction in next block, again next block, so that in same sequence, so that all the instruction required by the fetch unit of the pipeline must be available in the pre-fetch buffer. But it is not always true. If your program has no any control instruction, then you will get maximum performance of your pipeline. If you have this arrangement, your fetch unit need not to wait for instruction from memory. Okay, but you can't realize any program without control structure. If you have decision structure, decision control structure, in that case, your instruction, your normal execution of program has to switch. Okay, from to another instruction which is not in the sequence, means you must have to switch to the target instruction of the conditional branch instruction. In that case, you have to early detect such type of situation and try to fill the target instruction in branch target buffer, this buffer. Okay. This buffer, branch target buffer. And how we detect, you know, we have taken the static detection. We have two type of detection. One is static detection, another is dynamic detection. During introduction of Intel architecture, when we are discussing about the instruction set, ISA architecture, you have seen up to 386, we are using coprocessor for execution of the floating point instruction. And how instructions are get allocated to coprocessor? Only through the prefix, particular prefix. Means in encoding technique, we use half-Mohan encoding technique for the instruction. So we have a fixed prefix for each specific type of instruction. Okay. So the branch instruction has that fixed prefix. If any instruction enters with that prefix, we have arrangement that will get the target of that very instruction. What is the target? Either branch has to be taken or not in the case of conditional branch. It will load the target instruction in this branch target buffer. Okay. Similarly, you can detect loops in your program. Okay. And keep loop instruction in a high-speed buffer. Although loop buffer are not in all, that is all processor, but you will get this in all recent processor, you will get sequential buffer as well as branch target buffer. Next, multiple functional unit. These are the remedy for structural hazards. Okay. As during discussion, due to just see, we have up to now we have discussed branch target buffer. If you have the problem with the memory fetch, means hazard due to the memory fetch, you can use several buffer. Means for same purpose, if you see from 486 onward, in all Pentium processor, we have separate data cache and code cache. Okay, so that, and it is integrated on processor itself. From the beginning, these cache, data cache and code cache are get integrated on processor itself. Just see, one thing more. Okay, I will told you at a time 4 locations in the case of instruction cache are get transferred to the prefetch buffer or branch target buffer from the cache, and in the case of data cache, at information of 2 addresses may be retrieved simultaneously. Okay, we have this arrangement, and that we will discuss how we provide this arrangement during discussion of the main memory. How we can perform transfer of 4 consecutive location from the instruction cache to pre-fetch buffer. Okay. Next is your multiple functional unit. As you have seen that we have several operations that is to be performed for a particular instruction. So for each operation, you must have the functional unit. And if you integrate all the functional unit, then that very functional unit will become bottleneck of the pipeline and hamper the performance of the pipeline. Okay. So what we have done, we have just cascaded the functional unit. Here you have seen we have cascaded the functional unit for execution of the instruction. But only one function will be performed for a particular instruction. So we can use these functional units in parallel. And we may use a unit to issue the instruction to particular functional unit. Okay. So if you see here, after decoding, means instruction will be fetched, it is get decoded, and then we have arrangement, that is reservation station, through which we can allocate the functional unit. Okay, and then instruction is loaded back to the memory, right back. This is a pipeline having multiple functional unit. Now recall the P6 microarchitecture. In P6 microarchitecture, we have same arrangement. You just see. This is the P6 microarchitecture. Here we have fetch unit and then 3 decode unit, and here we have memory unit where we can, that is called instruction pool, where after decoding micro-ops are get stored, and we have a reservation station that will allocate one of the functional unit. Okay, we have already discussed, and after then for write back we have retirement unit that will route the result to the data cache. Okay, so these are the arrangements that we can make to get rid of structural hazards. Okay, next is the data hazards. In the case of data hazards, that is, the data is not available. Okay, and you want to perform the operation. Just see example, then we will discuss. That is, you have seen the dependence structure. A plus B and sorry, yes, A plus B into C. Most popular example, X of the dependency. T1 is B into C, T2 is A plus T1, X is T2. This is I1, I2, I3. You have other program, but consider the pipeline. This is the pipeline. And stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. I1 is get fetched, I1 is decoded, I2 will be fetched, I3 is executed, I1 will be executed, I2 will be decoded, and I3 will be fetched. Then I1 will write T1 in the memory or in register. I2 will be executed. Now see, in this cycle, I2 need T1 and T1 is not in the memory. So you have to install it. You can perform T2 here. Okay, you have seen. And just see what we can do. We can supply this directly to this very process, previous process in pipeline. Is the pipeline. This is execute, and here result memory you can give to execute unit. That is called internal data forwarding. Okay, you will get this type of problem in the case of scalar execution, and there we need frequent internal data forwarding. Okay, so just see here, we have several type of forwarding. Just see, we have two instructions: store content of R1 to memory and load memory to register R2. How it will do? R1 content through access unit is get loaded into the memory and it will refer this. So you need two memory cycle, and at least a memory cycle, one memory cycle need 4 machine clock. Okay, means 8 machine clock to perform this operation. If we go for the internal data forwarding, if this data is needed to R2 and R2 may use this data. So just see, in 4 cycle, R1 is get loaded to the memory, and in 1 cycle it is transferred to the R2. Okay, means we can change that instruction by this instruction that will internally forward the data. See another case of internal data forwarding. Load, same location is get loaded in two registers, R1 and R2. So to execute this instruction, we need at least 4 clock for memory operation. Along with, you may get some 4 additional clock, you may say, to perform the memory clock, along with the normal number of clock needed to do the execution. Again, here you need 4 additional clock. Means total 8 additional clock. But if you replace it by move R1 to R2, then in 4 clock, additional clock, you can load the M to R1, memory location to R1, and in next clock, it will be available to R2. Okay, so by internal data forwarding, we can also reduce the effect of hazards. This is the example of internal data forwarding. You can see how data is being forwarded here without and here without the gap. Okay, you can see. And next, remaining we will discuss on next one. Okay.
Okay, sir.
आपको समझ में आ रहा ना?
यस सर।
ठीक है, ये काइवान की किताब से है। हाँ, काइवान की किताब आपको मिल गई?
यस सर।
और दूसरी चीज ये है, दूसरी चीज, हाँ PDF मिली होगी और क्या। और दूसरी ये है कि आप जो है इसको जो है वो कर लीजिए, हमने सारी PPT यूनिट 2 की अपलोड कर दिया है, यू में डाउनलोड इट। ओके,
मिल गया सर।
ठीक है, चलिए।
थैंक यू सर।
और कोई प्रॉब्लम?
सर मैं अपना क्यूज नहीं अटेंड कर पाई थी।
क्या नाम है? मीरा?
यस सर।
सर मेरा भी सर, परमदेव।
परमदेव और मीरा और एक और नहीं अटेंड कर पाया है। हाँ, ये 3 लोग अपना मेल आईडी एक साथ भेजें, हम अपडेट कर दे रहे हैं।
सर आपको
सर भेजे हैं।
अरे एक साथ भेजें।
सर जीमेल कर दीजिए।
जीमेल पे मत भेजिए, ऑफिशियल वाले मेल पे भेजिए। pkscs@mmut.ac.in pks पीके सिंह क्या PKS है, और CS माने कंप्यूटर साइंस। इस पर भेज दो @mmut.ac.in।
यस, ठीक
समझ गए? और तीसरे को भी कहो, तीसरा जिसने नहीं दिया है। अच्छा, आप लोगों को सबका नंबर मिल गया ना जिन्होंने दिया है?
यस।
अरे तुम क्या बोल रही हो? जिन्होंने दिया है उनका नंबर मिल गया? ठीक है, सब चलो करते हैं, कल पूछेंगे।
हमारे घर में तो उससे निकल गया था, आज निकलो ना निकल क्या